recapping Illinois real quick. Of course, it was nice that we got a win, but a lot of things we need to clean up on. Had some good performances, but some things that we need to continue to polish if we're going to have a chance this week and down the stretch with these remaining 4 games in the league. Special teams, it was, we got the big turnover, which was huge. Got points off of that. It was a good play by a good punt. I think Eric's done a good job filling in for Mitchell Voss. He's been steady for us and did a nice job there. Ewald's done really well on our placements, our kicks. We did have the one kick out of bounds. I think a big play we talked about. We decided at halftime, and it wasn't a huge win, but it was a difference between kicking it out of the end zone or a short kick, being a little bit more aggressive with deep throws, maybe worry about the ball hanging up. So it was kind of it wasn't worth maybe a possession, but it was worth thinking about what to do. And we decided at the second half to kick off into the win because we wanted it for the fourth quarter. And we had a really nice high kick, had great coverage. Defense got a stop. Later we created a turnover, got some points. So I think, we thought that was the best way to play it, but you got to execute. And I think the kids, did a great job. And it started with Mitch's kick and the kick cover deal. So kicking game was solid. Defensively, we made some strides. We did have 14 missed tackles. We got to play a little bit harder. We thought we had a few guys not playing quite at the energy of the previous few weeks. Didn't get off blocks, weren't as physical as we needed to be. Even though we made some sacks and had some stops, it's still, we got to keep pushing positives. We held them to 17 points. We did get the sacks. So we, created a turnover on defense, one on special teams. They had the ball twice inside the 5-yard line. We hold them to 3 points, and end of the game they don't score. So a couple of red zone scores, stops were good. Offensively, one of our worst performances. I do think Illinois' defense going into it, I think they're a little bit more skilled and proficient than I think people are giving them credit for. Their front 7 particularly is very good. Only 1 of 13 on third downs was disappointing. We only had 7 big plays. I didn't think we were very physical. We did have one good drive at the end of the fourth quarter, but the offense was pretty anemic all day. We didn't turn the ball over. We did score when we crossed the midfield. The fourth quarter drive was nice, but we got to be a lot cleaner. It was nice to see us struggle in the defense come through. We're kind of picking it up, but again, we still haven't played a complete game. It was good to get a win. Performances, I thought Greg Heben, our special team player of the game. I think I looked today, and then Adam Raplogo is our defensive player of the game. Adam and Greg have been, I think, the players of the game defensively every week. It's been one of those 2 guys. And, of course, Greg shows up as our special teams player of the game. Offensively, Stephen Houston and Nate Sudfeld were. And the guys behind the scenes that you don't see, we thought Jake Reed, offensive line, playing center, Anthony Davis, those names keep popping up. They did a great job on our scout team again, as did Big Ralph Green. We're excited about him as a D tackle, and Garrett Welch, who's a walk-on DB from Noblesville. So it was good. It was nice to win, but a lot to work on. And we keep trying to talk to our guys. If we're building our team, we're going to get better down the stretch. Every team does. That's good. It's nice to have a positive scoreboard, but there's a lot to improve on. There's a lot to build on. And now we can maybe be in a positive situation, but still try to keep building because we got a long way to go. And we're going to keep pushing this week to have a better week. And we'll need one to have a chance as we play against Iowa this Saturday. Questions?
With the win, is it a blessing that they maybe didn't play their best game? Because you've talked before about how guys will get a little bit maybe too excited when they have some success, and this is going to help you guys keep them grounded a little bit more.
Well, our comments to them, again, our common theme, pushing over a year now, is constant daily improvement. And when we've had some shortcomings, we wanted to keep coming. Now we've had a positive, but let's don't look with rose-colored glasses. Let's look and see where, get our timings off in the pass game. Our protection can be better. Perimeter blocking, backside reach blocking, missed tackles, getting off blocks. We created some plays, but we also missed some plays defensively. So as we, that's been our theme. And hopefully, again, I think we're getting some great leadership from Adam and Will Maddie, Larry Black, and those senior guys. A couple of those other, Kofi Hughes or Stephen Houston, those guys, Mark Murphy, those guys, Greg Heben, they pick up some slack, good too. But we need to keep building. And if our kids are truly embracing our values, we've had 2 really nice days of practice so far. We've already practiced here Tuesday morning, and we're off to a good start. And that's, our theme of the year, keep getting better. I would expect us to get better this week, and we'll need to, because again, it's evident. You go 1 of 13, you're not going to perform well. You have 14 missed tackles. That's going to haunt you. They missed a couple shots where they had the opportunity to make a play or two that they missed. So you don't want to rely sometimes on a team giving you a game. You need to keep pushing and working. So we'll see as we go forward. That's our challenge.
What is it about Iowa in particular that they're the main concern?
Well, Coach Ferentz has had as much success. Coach Fry got that thing going. Coach Ferentz has kept it going. They've lost their last two, but you look at who they've lost to. They've lost to good teams. They lose to Iowa State. Was playing really good in the Big 12, the rival game early. They kind of, like we did, they kind of blew one at the end against Central, where Michigan, where they made a play or two, but they've lost two recent games to two good teams. It's a prideful team. They're tough. They're physical. They've had some injuries, but they're a program that overcomes that. Doesn't matter who the running back is, they're going to zone it up and get downhill and always have a tremendous line. Defensively, same way. Their tape looks like it did when I was at Northwestern 10, 11 years ago when they were building what became the 2002 championship team. So, they're just philosophically sound, structured. A lot of things they do we're trying to emulate. We're not trying to make our program just like theirs. But Coach Ferentz is one of the better coaches in our profession, one of the better guys in the profession. His kids will have a great week. And, we need to learn to win at home. And we need to learn to keep getting better. And this will be a challenge because this is a winning football program that we're playing, and we're trying to become that. So for us to put together a good week and go out and compete and see where we stack up against these guys will be a big challenge. And we look forward to the challenge because, again, I respect their program and what they do, and there's a lot of good ones in our league, but the program we're playing is one that I truly respect everything they do.
Nate came in early in Saturday's game. Signify anything different about where the competition stands, or is it pretty much exactly where it has been?
Well, that was our worst quarterback play of the year, as far as stats, yardage, numbers, conversions. So, and I would have said a long time ago, we need to play well quarterback to win, and we probably had our worst quarterback performance and still won a game. So I think it shows where we're gaining and kicking and getting better in some areas and playing smarter and playing more efficient football. But both those guys need to keep pressing to play better. Into the win, it was a little tough sledding a little bit, and we just, we didn't block well. And those quarterbacks always look good when the surrounding parts play well. We didn't play quite as good offensively, and a lot of that's a credit to Illinois having some good defensive players and attacking is pretty good. But we'll get a similar deal this week. We're going to play against another well-coached, sound, strong, stout, solid defensive team, and we got to play better. They're both kind of, if you watch this, you guys get a chance to see a little bit once in a while. And, they kind of splitting reps up. They look pretty solid in practice, but we need to play a lot better than we played Saturday. So, we'll see as the week goes. And I would have said in the earlier games, Nate would have been out there earlier and wasn't. I would have told you Saturday, Nate would have played better, Cam would have played better coming off the way we finished Navy. But, we missed a couple shots. I just didn't like the one ball he floated early in the game. I thought that was a poor decision, and I didn't want to go on the road and be careless. So we just gave Nate a chance, and we got the lead, got the momentum, and we just kind of rode with him. Same thing happened the other games. I would have thought maybe Nate would have got in and played, but we were playing well, and Cam was doing well, and we're just kind of riding that one. So, they're both good competitors. They're both playing decently, but we need to play better. We are playing with the second and third team quarterback because the best one still isn't out there. And so that being said, both of those guys need to keep working to get better. So it's not a competition. There are two backups, and those two backups need to keep getting better. And it's nice they're giving us a chance, but they need to play better. We've won one football game since Trey got hurt, and the one game we won is the worst performance we've had at quarterback. So I just want both those guys to keep pushing, continue to be. And you guys visit with them. I think they're good. They're friends. They're competitors. I think it's a mutual respect. But those guys need to keep pushing because that position sets the tone. The offensive line, defensive front, and that position sets the tone for your team every week.
How early do you look at what the weather conditions are going to be like on Saturday? Because it seems like there might be a little bit of a wind still involved.
You look at it. Even though the weather gets, the rule of thumb is if a week out it says it's raining, it's going to be pretty. And if a week out it says it's going to be pretty, you expect it to be bad just because those nor'easters and, my meteorological background and all that deal. But I just looked at it a little bit ago. But it still doesn't matter. We practiced today. It was so windy. The defense actually went outside, but we put the offense inside just for timing. But like last week, We expected it to be about 12 to 14 miles an hour. It was actually that way on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we actually spent the bulk of last week practicing into the wind because, you don't want to make practice easy. The more difficult, the more, like we don't line up in practice and play against base defense. It's multiple blitzes and rotations and twists and movements, and you make practice as difficult as it can be so the game can be that way. So tomorrow we will get back, I think as this wind subsides a little bit today, we'll get back outside and have a full go outside and take advantage of kicking and the whole thing. I thought our kickers handled the wind very well too. So you look at it, in this day and age, it's tough to give the ball up and say it's a possession win. But deciding which way to kick and do you want it first and second, third, and fourth quarters are critical decisions sometimes. Also, managing when to take a timeout at the end of the third quarter to punt with the win, or how to run the clock out at the end of the third quarter to get the win behind you that you can then punt with the win. There's all kinds of things like that we're talking about every game, and that's a part of Big Ten football this last month. That's a big part.
Talking with some of your guys this morning, they talk about one game at a time, but how much do you touch on with them about the scenarios that could play out down the stretch here, the rest of the season?
Well, we've talked about that. It was pointed out today that we control our destiny, and I told our team, if you hadn't figured that out, you control that every day of your life. So we all control our destiny, and it's kind of nice that we can control making today the best it can be and having a good week of practice. And we've won a Big Ten football game, and we need a better week. And we need to play better to beat Iowa. So we've kind of used that as a little bit of a, as we build our team, that's what we're trying to do. It's constant, consistent, getting better every day. And that's the mindset that we're trying to build with our guys on the field, off the field, and in fact, trying to change their outlook on life and how they look at the daily approach of being a college student, being a college athlete, and as they're developing into young men. So the scenario to us is that we're a team that has not played very good. We're doing some things that you need to do to get better, and we're starting to do that more often on Saturdays. But we've pointed out that all the really good teams get stronger and better down the stretch. And the really great competitors, the great individual players, and the great teams get stronger as you go. I do think I was worried weeks ago when we expelled a lot of energy and effort, and we were physical, and we were enthusiastic, and we put a great forth of energy in some games. Could we repeat it? But I think the standard that we set in practice, our guys have shown, we will repeat that. Last week wasn't quite as good as I had seen, and we're challenging our guys to pick it up this week because we'll need to play better. So, we keep it focused on 1 week, and we keep it focused really on one day, and our whole program goal the whole year. There was not one game red lettered. It was, we're going to get better in every part of our program. Head coach, assistant coaches, video, training room, dietitian, players, scout teamers, kickoff, every guy getting better every day. That's been our motto, that's been our mojo, and that's what we're emphasizing, and we're slowly doing that.
Coach, Nate didn't get to throw an interception this year. Is decision making, for a freshman, is decision making becoming one of his strengths? And the reason why he's competing well for that spot?
I mean, they've all been reasonably good as much as we're throwing it, and we've had, if you look at it, going back from Trey's time through, we've had a few. I think we've got. Are we sitting at 4, 5? We have 5 interceptions, I think, and we probably got maybe twice that many, maybe 15 a dozen that you would even say, why did you throw that ball? So there's the decision making in general. It's a part of when we talked last year. We weren't changing offenses, but we were changing the way we process and think and teach it. And I think it's a part of just the system we do. Nate handles it well. The other guys have been pretty good, but it's all about understanding our concepts and how to make quick decisions. And as a freshman, Nate does it well. But as we start, I think for the most part, Trey and Cam haven't been too bad either. So a lot of that credit goes to Coach Johns and to Coach Luttrell. And those guys now, they spend more time than anybody on watching extra tape, film study. And there's a lot of time in practice just repping on, decision-making ball. I mean, I just stand in practice all day and 1, 2, 3, throw it, ball. Just get it out, get it on time, make quick decisions. And, if you get a chance, and once in a while you guys get a chance to see a little practice, you watch it, the ball's not on the ground a lot. We're throwing the ball to spaces and spots and on time, and it's just a part of the package. And we're not really that good at it yet. We just played our worst game, and we're going to keep building on that. But Nate's handled decision-making reasonably well, and I think most of them have. I think it's also a credit to the coaches and what they're trying to do.
Sue, have they kind of embraced maybe the off-the-field responsibilities, being in the film room, studying the way you want? I know that's something that position kind of struggled with in your eyes.
You know, and if you listen, that's a great question. Zach, if you listen to a lot of our coaches, a lot of those guys have I think sometimes it's, I think, a part of the morning routine. Practice is over, so they get back at night and they come back for dinner and they're not tired and just been here, you know, and so, I mean, we're getting a lot of guys. I mean, the defensive players have probably put more time on task on their own than anyone else. And you can't mandate it, you can't make it mandatory, but I mean, every night there's a stream of those guys coming in, you know, on their own. The coaches are calling recruits and the coaches are game planning, but they're sitting in somebody's office watching tape. And we like to do that more than, you know, give them the DVDs or the huddle things that they can pull up on their own. And we kind of like them to get around each other. And so I think our schedule has embraced that. The quarterbacks are doing as a lot, but if you talk to our defensive coaches, I've heard Coach Eckler say that to me, and I think he's shared it with you guys, the commitment of a lot of the offensive line, 4:30, 5 o'clock before dinner, there'll be 5, 6, 7 of those linemen sitting in Coach Fry's office by themselves watching tape. Will Maddie's kind of the ringleader, and he's kind of coaching them up. So those kids are, and I like it. You know, you don't get a 4.0 if you don't go to the library and study. And we're trying to get a 4.0 on Saturdays, and it's just not our practice time. You gotta rest, you gotta eat right, you gotta take care of your body, and you gotta mentally prepare. And I think our guys are embracing. That's the process, and our guys are understanding that better. And I think that's why we have less mental errors. And that's why, you know, we're playing better football. Our kids are working. They're committing to doing the things it takes to win.
Kind of a bigger picture. You obviously want more wins on the field, but in terms of the progression of the program since you took over, is it coming along? Is it turning into the program that you envision and that you want it to be?
It's getting there. I mean, I like it. I like our guys. I mean, I didn't like some results, and I keep saying those guys are giving us a great go, great effort, great commitment. So as coaches, we're a part of the process. Let's keep finding answers for them. And that's our job. So whether it be different play calls, different means of practice, different things we do to motivate those guys, because our kids have bought in an unbelievable way. And there's, again, I got a great deal of respect. So offensively, defensively, across the board, scout team kids. I had a question on the radio show about that. We're so much better scout team, and not just offense, defense, our kicking scout teams. So we're getting good looks when we prepare our punt team or our punt return team. So it's a completely different vibe. It still has a long way to go, but these kids are working hard. They have a great attitude. They're fun. They're laughing. I just think the whole setup's different. You know, we come off the field now. I even thought that as I walked into the cafeteria, because, you know, we practice and then give them lunch before they go to their 12, 20, or 1 o'clock classes, and there was a little roar. Just the guys just talking, laughing. So there's a much better camaraderie with our guys, and I just think they like each other. We're not all best buddies, but it's a much more family atmosphere, and it's what you're trying to build.
How much does that help? Just because you're coming off a win too.
Nah, it's been that way. That's why when we were, quote, on the scoreboard struggling, we weren't struggling, because those guys, they were getting it. And I was just disappointed and hurting for them. We got to do something as coaches to find something for them, because it's been there. And it actually started into last year. You know, those last 3-4 weeks last year was a different environment in the locker room that led to a really good winter, really good spring. We're still a long way off, but the deal is we got to continue to keep building. And we got to build when we have bumps, and we got to build when we have some sunny days. And it's a constant, and it's going to be that way forever. And that's the program we're playing. That's how that program's founded, and that's what they're doing today. I guarantee over there. And they're going to put together a good week and play, and that's what good programs do. We're playing a great program. That's what we're trying to be. So if we're good, we'll keep fighting that process and learning how to do that.
The NCAA is expected today to pass a proposal that has tougher sanctions on coaches who break rules, up to a year suspension. Do you think that's too tough, a year, or what's kind of your thoughts on that?
Well, they're coming down to where I personally like it, because in my world, being a head coach, but being an assistant so long, I still think a lot like an assistant coach. And that being said, I think most head coaches know what goes on in their programs. So I think it's my responsibility not only to educate our staff on what to do, but you know what those guys are doing, that you make sure you hire guys that are doing things properly. And I don't disagree with anything. I think we're in a league where things are done very, very well. And there are a lot of places in the country where I think they are, and I think I think everybody's competitive. Everybody fights to win games. Everybody's fighting to win recruits. But at the end of the day, I think we got a bunch of great leaders from the commissioner, through our university and AD heads, through the coaches of our league, in all of our sports. I think there's a lot of good things going on in the Big Ten. So I'm for it, and don't have any issues with it at all with it. Anything else?
With Jakari, Chase, Bernard.
He was bragging to me today, Jakari, about how he had his pads on. And I said we were having a discussion about alumni and former players, and his name had popped up. So, because I always kid guys when it hurt that you had a great career back when you used to play. So, I kind of threw that one in a fun line. He's back at it. Chase has been practicing last week, but I think when Bernard Taylor's back there going, he's clubbed up a cast. It's just hitting it and pain tolerance with a little pin. He's got like a little half cast. Colin Rawrings came in and played well for him, as he did last year, and probably should have been playing as maybe earlier in rotating those guys anyway. But those, we've came out of these last few games reasonably healthy. Jakari did some action today. Hubler has done a bunch. But when you miss as much time as Chase did, you get a little out of the mix. Flo's played well. Griffin Dawson's played solid as well. But I expect those guys to be in the flow, and we'll see as we go through this week how much we get out of Chase. I'd like to think it's going to be, he practiced last week. I don't think he got any action, but I think he should be in the mix. And we'll see as this week flows. Jakari hadn't missed as much, how much he gets back in the action. But for this time of the year, and as hard as we played and as hard as we practiced, we're reasonably healthy, and we need to keep moving in that direction.
Coleman, he didn't get any carries, I don't think, last week. Is he doing okay? Or?
Yeah, I mean, just, you rotate the guys around, and, he's back there on the kick return, and, was in some. We didn't have a lot of plays, though, and so, Coach McCullough kind of manages that. Same deal with receivers. We're playing about 6-7 receivers. I don't know if they're starters. Same deal defensive line. We're playing 8-9 of them. So I don't know really who starts. There might be a guy that jogs up front, but there's going to be 4 D tackles and 4 or 5 defensive ends that play. So there's just a lot of those guys playing. And sometimes, you get a hot hand, your number gets called. He's been practicing well, and has had a good week this week, so should be fine. Is that it? Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for being here.